Hey everyone, Once Bitten here with Game 4 of the Bretonnian campaign, my Bretonnians versus an Ogre army. For this one we decided just to roll up random terrain and do a random scenario. So we're doing a Blood and Glory scenario, and I'm starting with 7 fortitude and he only has 5. So if I need to take a couple banners or kill his general, and I can win the game that way. The problem is that pretty much that unit in the middle of Iron Guts with all his characters in it, I have to kill that unit or, kill his general in order to get this. So it's not going to be particularly easy. I'm going for Heroism, Penitent, and Impetuous Knight. I think this one originally had Heroism, Impetuous Knight, and and Joust, but he didn't have any cavalry, so I swapped out the guy with Joust for another one and kind of tweaked it when we started. So he's got a Saber Tusk. There's an Iron Blaster on the hill that looks suspiciously like a steam tank, and that's actually a scree slope up there. He's got 2 3-man units of bulls. He thinks about those as if they were chariots, which is not a bad way to use them and think about them. Behind him, he's got a unit of man-eaters. They have Stubborn and Swift Stride. And let's see, I think like 3 of them had pistols and 3 of them had great weapons. It's one thing I actually don't like about the man-eater rule is you can equip every model differently than others, and it's probably hard enough to keep track of if you play the army. It's certainly hard for your opponent to. Not that's a big deal in this game, I'm just saying. So then we have an Anvil of Vol in the middle, and he was actually really excited to put this there, and not really excited, but he's like, oh, that could be helpful, and I was thinking, what on earth for? But it turns out that his battle standard bearer has a 2+ ward against flaming attacks, so if we get in combat within 6 inches of that hill, he'll have a 2-up ward. So yeah, I thought that was pretty smart. So he's got a bunch of Iron Guts with a few characters in there. There's another Saber Tusk, another 3-man unit of bulls, and then 6 Lead Belchers with Fire Belly number 2. So on the far left, I've got Peg Knights and my general. I have no idea what to do with my general. If I'm on the right, I think he's going to get killed by the Iron Blaster, and if I'm on the left, I think he's going to get shot to death by the Lead Belchers. So my plan here is to get the Lord to get heroic killing blow on one of the ogres as quickly as possible, and then don't worry about it if he dies, and then just win the game. I think that's the best way to handle it. So then I've got 3 blocks of Knights of the Realm with 14 knights each. Right in front of my lines, right in the middle, I put the Weirding Well. And so the little circle in the middle is the well itself, and that is impassable. So my battle standard bearer has to declare a charge whenever possible, so I set him up to where he couldn't make any charges, so I wouldn't have to worry about that. And if he's going to shoot at me, if I'm within 3 inches of the well, I could regrow my knights. So I thought that might be helpful. Let's see, then there are the 2 other units, the Knights of the Realm. There's my Paladin of the Virtue of the Penitent. I'm treating him kind of like my Lord. He is worthless in this game. I'm hoping that he doesn't get shot, that there's too many other better targets. I'm going to try to throw him up in combat and let him get killed, and then all I have to do is, as long as he gets in combat and doesn't break, win the game, and I've got that virtue. Then I've got some Peg Knights and then a unit of Grail Knights. They're not in lance formation because there's a cannon in front of them. So Vanguard on the right, Vanguard on the left. Ogres, of course, go first. It looks like that. Moves its Lead Belchers in the building. Lead Belchers in a building are brutal because you just can't shake them out of there. Otherwise, he moves, as you can see. Let's see, he takes his Lead Belchers and shoots at 1 unit of Knights right by the Weirding Well and kills a bunch of them, but that's okay. I'm just going to try to regrow them back. A magic spell slipped through and got my general. Actually, I think I let this one through because it just really wasn't a big deal. And yeah, I just got past my armor save. So 1 of 3 wounds down for the general. We go to Bretonnia turn 1. So on the left, you look at I fly the general up to the house. That's going to be really bad for him, but I'm going to get to go when I say him, I mean my general, not the ogres. I'm just hoping he can get heroic killing blow on one of those guys and get me this stupid virtue. Let's get some close-ups. So this is on the right-hand side. My Peg Knights declared to charge against the bulls. They fled. I redirected to the Iron Blaster. I needed a 10, and they failed it. And they rolled so low I didn't even fly over the dog, so they stopped there, and it created a failed charge for my Grail Knights, who are now in the bottom right-hand corner doing nothing. There's the general going in. Somehow there's a wound on the Fire Belly. My assumption is that's a miscast. And then here's on the left the Peg Knights charge the Saber Tusk. If I roll, I believe, a 9 if I win this and then roll a 9, I should be able to get an overrun into his bulls. So that would be nice. After combat, yeah, the general's dead. He didn't get heroic killing blow, so there's the second game. I didn't get what I thought would be one of the easiest virtues to get. Peg Knights beat the Saber Tusk and overran into the bulls, and that was nice. Oh, yep, there they are. And we go to Ogres turn 2. Now another thing I should say is, on Bretonnian turn 1, I tried to regrow Knights in both of my leftmost Knight of the Realm units. The one on the left had lost 1 knight, the one on the right lost like 4 of them so far, something like that. And both of them rolled a 5, which means they didn't regrow knights, but instead they're both stupid and unbreakable for the rest of the game. So that actually was really nice. I now have 2 unbreakable units. They're units that can't flee, but I don't normally flee anyway. Anyway, so it's Ogre's turn 2. He did not charge my Penitent Knight. I swear, he's going to try to shoot him. And I'm not going to get the virtue. Darn it. Let's see over here. Yeah, he gets Fulminating Flame Cage off on the Knight of the Realm unit, so now in theory if I move them I take a bunch of strength 4 hits, but in doing so he gets a miscast and blows up his Fire Belly and takes one of his lead belters along with him. That forces a panic test, and on I believe a 7 he passes it. Then during the combat phase the Peg Knights beat the bulls, they run off the table, and that forces another panic test on the lead belters. Or no, it doesn't. Or maybe, heck, who knows. Anyway, if it did, they passed it. So, Bretonnian turn 2. I moved the I moved the Penitent Knight right in front of his Man-Eaters. He shot at me with the lead belters last turn. Insanely bad luck on his part, and my guy lives. He's taken a wound. He has 1 wound left. Darn it, Man-Eaters. You kill this guy. He shot with the lead belters, and then he shot with the 3 guys with pistols and the Man-Eaters, and still only did 1 wound. Anyway, the unit with the Fulminating Flame Cage, I went ahead and moved and let them take their hits and wounds, because I'm just going to, at the end of the movement phase, I can try to regrow Knights, and I'm just going to do that. Over here, the Peg Knights fail a charge again, but at least they were able to get past the Saber Test this time, and the Grail Knights come in to charge, get rid of that. Peg Knights fly over behind his lines to threaten his Iron Blaster. And let's see, during Magic, it looks like I got Weissens off on the middle unit of Knights of the Realm. More importantly, at the end of the movement phase, I regrew Knights and grew all except 1 of them in this unit, and got my guy back in this unit. So both those units are pretty much back to full strength. I like this weirding well. So after combat, Saber Tusk is dead, and we go to Ogre's turn 3. So yeah, something kind of scary. Well, the Man-Eaters charged the Penitent, so that was nice. And the only scary thing here is instead of just killing him, he issues a challenge with his champion so he can get some points from the underdog challenge thing. And the only concern I have about that is his champion may not kill my guy. And I'll be stubborn 8 without a reroll. If I fail it, I'm going to be so mad. But his Iron Gut unit tried to charge this rightmost unit of Knights of the Realm. Keep in mind, my 2 leftmost units are both unbreakable, so he doesn't really want to charge them. And I had it set up to where he could make an easy charge into this middle unit, and then I could counter charge with 2 other Knights of the Realm units. He was not going for that, so he did this long charge. He did a 9, and had he got it, he would have been behind my 9s. He would have wiped up that unit. It would have been bad news. But thank goodness he failed. There's that. I mean, how often are you rooting for your own characters to die? Let's see after the Pegasus Knights fail 2 charges, the Bulls make a long charge and get into them. And obviously what I think he's trying to do here is beat the Peg Knights in combat, overrun, hit the flank of the Grail Knights, and keep the Grail Knights from getting a nice, possibly flank charge on the Man-Eaters. I think it's a good plan. Let's see. There's no more Penitent Knight. I think how he snuck through a wound. I was so nervous. So yeah, it looks like that. So I have the Virtue of the Penitent. As long as I can at least get a draw in the game, I've got that one, because he got into combat and he didn't break. So go to Bretonnian turn 3. I just charge the heck out of everything. Yeah, I mean the Grail Knights, when he reformed to Man-Eaters, the Grail Knights are coming in the front of him instead of the flank. So I didn't want to take him in alone, because the Man-Eaters still put out a lot of attacks, so I took the other unit of Knights into them and put 2 units into his General's unit. that was a difficult choice, because had I put 3 blocks of knights into his general's unit, I obviously would have got more wounds on him, and I'm going to have to kill that unit down pretty much to a man, or to an ogre, to get those points, because he's got Crown of Command on his virtually unkillable Battle Standard Bearer, and I just don't see how I'm going to get him. But I didn't want to have the Grail Knights go in, and then after a couple rounds get totally killed, and have the Man-Eaters charge the flank of my Knights. So anyway, it looks like that. And there's that. You see, they took the Peg Knights in the rear. They could have charged the Iron Blaster, but I would rather just get as many wounds as possible against these Man-Eaters, because they're stubborn as well. So he has two units that aren't going anywhere. Of course, I have 2 unbreakable units in the leftmost combat, so yeah. So let me just say something about the lighting. So the sun's been going down, but this looks like we're playing in pitch dark. It actually isn't that dark, but it's like something weird happened. As soon as the light got down below a certain level, it made such a difference in the pictures. So yeah, it looks like we're fighting a night battle. I'm cool with that. So he uses the Hellheart, forces a miscast. My Prophetess doesn't take a wound, but does kill 3 knights, which isn't as bad as it could be. But yeah, so I'll take it. I got Weiss's Wild Form off on the unit knights in the front. I have the Pan's Impenetrable Pelt on my Battle Standard Bearer, so he's going to get in challenge with his Battle Standard Bearer. So I don't think anybody's going to die there, especially as long as I have this toughness buff up. And in combat, I was actually able to sneak a wound through on his BSB, and that's with him having a 2-up ward. So I thought that was kind of nice. Overall, it looks like that. You can see. I don't know. It doesn't look like I killed too many Iron Guts, but the thing is, I put every attack that I could put on his general, because he just can tear through my knights. I got pretty lucky this phase, and made a lot of ward saves. I did enough wounds to his general that he is now on 1 wound remaining. If I kill his general, I win the game, because he only has 2 banners and a Battle Standard Bearer that puts him at 3. So anyway, if you look on the right, actually didn't do as well as I thought I would have done against the Man-Eaters. One thing that didn't help is my opponent issued a challenge with his champion, and that took a whole file of Grail Knights out of the combat. And that was just poor position on my part. I could have shifted everybody to the left a little bit, but I wasn't. He had told me who his champion was, and I just wasn't thinking about it when I moved my guys in there. Anyway, so it looks like that. We're still fighting. This is the combat where his bulls came in, and they tried to beat the Peg Knights, hoping to overrun into my Grail Knights. We've pretty much just been a push every time. It's either been a tie or I've won by 1, and he made his break test. And after combat, it looks like that. Ogres turn 4. He's kicking himself because he's just now bringing his lead belters out of the building. Had he brought him out last turn, he could have charged this turn. I think that's totally true. I'm not sure I would have thought about it either. So they come out of the building so that if we're still around next turn, they can charge. His Iron Blaster on the hill charges down. It doesn't fail a dangerous terrain test on the scree slope or on the wall, which is a bummer. I was hoping he'd fail one of them. So he charges the rear of my Peg Knight unit. There's that. And for some reason, I'm just really not that worried about it. I think for the most part, I expect to be, when this is done, I expect to be steadfast, rerollable on both these units. So even if he wins through combat res, as long as I'm picking away at these Man-Eaters, whittling them down, I'll be okay. Now he's taken all of his attacks that he can on the Grail Knights, so that's 3 of his 4 Man-Eaters. So the Grail Knights are actually kind of getting picked on a little bit. Over here, my insanely good luck so far is starting to run out. I didn't make a single armor or ward save, and his general just went to town on my knights. But you'll notice his general isn't there. Even with all these strength 3 attacks, wounding on 6s, and him having a 4-up ward, I had 2 of them go through. So I actually had 1 wound left, and I actually did 2 wounds to him. So the general is dead. Over here, he did 1 impact hit with his Iron Blaster. Really just kind of failed in combat, didn't do much. So he's down to 1 Man-Eater left. These bulls broke. Go to Bretonnian turn 4, I charge those bulls off the table, and at that point we realize that there's no need to continue because the game's over. And my opponent wasn't in a rush, but he was in enough of a hurry that he didn't want to fight it out just to see what happened when it was over anyway. And I think even if we kept on playing, if it wasn't Blood and Glory, I think I had this. The Man-Eaters are going to be dead. It's going to be easy to take. I have 2 decent blocks of knights on the right. Even if he charges his lead belters into the rear of my unbreakable Battle Standard Bearers unit, he's not gonna kill my guys, and I'm not gonna break. So um, yeah, so victory to the Bretonnians. So I got the Penitent and I got the Impetuous Knight. I didn't get the Virtue of Heroism. Now, one thing that hurt me there is I have the Heartwood Lance, which allows me to re-roll failed rolls to wound. But when I had to dismount from my Pegasus to enter the house, I didn't think I could use the magic lance. And I think that's legitimate. It doesn't make sense. This guy's walking on the ground with this stupid lance. So I got 2 of the 3 objectives, and we carry on with the campaign. Hope you enjoyed it.